Hello everybody, we are doing another playoff preview and prediction video where we're going to be previewing the Western Semi-Final between the BC Lions and the Calgary Stampeders. Now before we start, please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new, if you're interested in the CFL, whatever the case may be. Now let's get into it, where like I said, I'm going to be talking about my storylines for this as well as my prediction at the end. So, Calgary is going to be playing at BC Place. The Stampeders finished 12-6 on the season, matching record of them and the BC Lions, but it was the Lions who were able to finish second in the West, and they of course are going to be hosting their first playoff game, I think since 2016, so that is cool there. What are going to be some key storylines and factors though? The first big factor in this game is Nathan Rourke ready? Let's talk about it. He missed basically half the year after just torching the entire league, and then he came back and really did not get a lot of time to shake off the rust last week. Was this enough time? That is going to be the biggest question. I don't know, because if you give a quarterback just a chance like that to try to come back off that foot injury, I think it's really hard to say. If he's a veteran, you're probably saying, well, it doesn't matter as much, whereas Rourke is a lot younger. We could see him still trying to battle back from this injury, trying to get everything back in the groove. Just because he's healthy doesn't mean that he's in game shape, or for physicality, mentality, timing, all that stuff. That is going to be big for them. And I think another thing that we have to look at is, while he was dominant in that win over the Stamps earlier in the year, that 41-40 game, they had to have a big fourth quarter to even come back and win that game. So that's going to be interesting. As for another storyline, can BC be able to stop Jake Maier? Jake was 53 for 71. That's almost 75% completion percentage, and had 594 passing yards and 3 TDs in the 2 games that he played against BC this year. One of the things we really have to watch out for in this game was Jake, or will be Jake, trying to throw to Malik Henry. In those 2 games that they played each other, Malik Henry was targeted probably 20 plus times, and I think had about 15 or more receptions in those 2 games. It's clear that Malik Henry is probably going to be one of his go-to guys in this game. I don't know if he'll target him the most, but if history shows anything from what we saw in those other 2 games, that is going to be the matchup that you have to win if you are the Lions. And of course, you have to be able to go after Jake, and that's going to be one of the biggest concerns for other reasons, and I'll explain that towards the end of this. Another thing is, will special teams be a deciding factor? You look at the fact that Calgary really gashed BC earlier in the season in one of those games. Special teams been one of those things that we talk about for the Stampeders, that at times clicks really well for them, whereas the Lions, it's been something that's been a big talking point in a negative way. I would have to say this game especially is going to be a game you're going to watch the special team plays to make sure nothing big happens. Mark Killam is viewed as a very smart coach, the special teams coach for the Calgary Stampeders. He's had that role for probably close to a decade. One of those guys that has come up through the organization. A lot of people view him as a future CFL head coach. I would say there's probably going to be some trick plays in there. BC especially is probably going to have to prepare for that, where we saw earlier in the year, I think it was Calgary had a little trick play there for them, and they were able to get the ball back because Mark had a good game plan. That is going to be interesting. As for the final major factor storyline in this one, it's going to be who or will the trenches decide this. I absolutely think they will. The Stampeders allowed the fewest sacks in the CFL this season by a pretty big margin. I think they allowed 15 sacks in 18 games, so that's pretty impressive, not even allowing a sack per game. And BC finished, I think, 3rd in sacks defensively, where they were able to get 3rd in the CFL for sacks, but they didn't register a single sack in any of the 3 games against Calgary. This is going to be where it happens. BC is going to have to get some big plays from their defensive line, from their linebackers, maybe if you wanted to go their secondary, if they did like a corner blitz, something like that. But this is where you have to see the trenches fought, because Calgary might be in a good spot to win this matchup. BC, of course, if they aren't going to win this matchup, are going to be in an uphill fight for this game, even though their offense is absolutely loaded. As for some other storylines, I'd have to say, the Lions, are their receivers going to be healthy? Burnham, Whitehead, all these guys have really had to battle some injuries this season, and that is unfortunate for them. Good for the Stampeders. You do have Hatcher, you have Rhymes, guys like them that should be able to make plays for you, but you'd love to have a totally healthy Lucky Whitehead and Brian Burnham. Other guys that you could focus on would be Calgary, Jameer Thurman, Cam Judge. Those are very veteran linebackers that could make big plays for the Stampeders at the right moments. You have to know where they're at, especially a guy like Jameer Thurman who is able to cover the coverage that he does pretty well. You have to know where he's at. And then, of course, Cam Judge looking to make some plays, force fumbles, interceptions, all that good stuff. Got to watch out for that. As for a final kind of quick ad, Calgary did not run the ball a lot in this matchup between the Lions and them. That is kind of intriguing because they're a team that led the league by yards per attempt, I think by whole yard, led the league by like 400 yards in rushing, led the league for most yards per game by rushing. They really did not use Kadeem Carey or a lot of those guys a lot. Want to see if that's going to be sticking this time or if the Lions will have to worry more about that for this game. But all in all, I think we're in for a good one, and my verdict is going to be that the Calgary Stampeders win it. Unfortunately, as a Lions fan, I think with Rourke being a little rusty, I'm not sure how VA will do if he had to come on in, whereas the Stampeders could throw out Jake Mayer. He doesn't work, that's fine. But Levi Mitchell, he doesn't work, that's fine. They've got 3 running backs, and then Tommy Stevens, who can run the ball. So that is going to be kind of the difference maker, and then maybe Mark Killam has a trick up his sleeve. That's why I think Calgary will win it, but I do think BC, with the star-studded offense that they have, could get it done as well. What is your pick for this game? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night.